The evolution of consensus mechanisms. How humans learn to agree without trust. Every system you rely on, every app you open, every dollar you touch, every transaction you've ever made, depends on one invisible question. A question so fundamental that most people never stop to think about it. Who decides what is true? Not what you believe, not what you feel, but what is officially recorded, accepted, and enforced as reality. For thousands of years, the answer was simple. Kings, governments, banks, authorities, a single source of truth. A single voice that said, this happened, this didn't, this is valid, this is not. But what happens when we no longer trust that voice? What happens when the authority lies, when it fails, when it protects itself instead of the people? What if strangers, people who don't know each other, don't trust each other, and may even be enemies, could still agree on the truth without trusting anyone at all? That question gave birth to something that is quietly reshaping money, power, and control across the entire planet. This is the evolution of consensus mechanisms. Before we begin, like the video. This documentary goes deeper than anything you've seen before. And check the description below. More videos are coming. What is consensus? Consensus is simply agreement, but not casual agreement, not opinions, not most people think. Consensus is shared truth. It's the version of reality that a system accepts as final. Imagine this. 30 strangers are locked in a room. No leader, no rules, no hierarchy. Someone stands up and says, "This is what happened." Another person immediately responds, "No, that's not true." Now everything stops. Nothing can move forward until the group agrees on one version of events. So who decides? Do you vote? Does the majority win? Does the loudest voice dominate? Does the strongest person take control? Does the richest person decide? This problem is older than civilization itself. Every society, every economy, every system that has ever existed had to answer it. A consensus mechanism is the method used to answer that question. It decides what is true, what is false, which transactions are valid, which are rejected, who gets rewarded, who gets punished. Without consensus, systems don't just slow down, they collapse. Consensus before blockchain. For most of human history, consensus was centralized. Small tribes trusted elders. Elders decided what was true. Kingdoms trusted kings. The king's word became law. Empires trusted emperors. Their decree rewrote reality. Modern nations trust governments. Modern economies trust banks. One authority, one ledger, one official version of the truth. If the ledger said you owned land, you owned land. If it said you were in debt, and you were in debt. If it said the money was gone, it was gone. This system worked until it didn't, because centralized consensus has a fatal flaw. Single point of failure. If the authority lies, everyone loses. If the authority is corrupted, the system becomes a weapon. If the authority collapses, everything breaks at once. History is filled with examples. Currencies that hyperinflated into worthlessness. Banks that gambled with people's savings. Governments that erased debt records or created fake ones. Entire populations locked out of their own wealth. The larger the system became, the more dangerous centralized trust became. 2008. When trust broke in 2008, the global financial system cracked. Banks failed. Entire institutions vanished overnight. People lost homes, jobs, and life savings. Governments responded the only way they knew how. They printed money. They bailed out banks. They socialized losses and privatized gains. And for the first time, millions of people asked a forbidden question. Why do we trust them at all? Why does a small group get to decide what money is worth? Why can they create it from nothing? Why do the consequences fall on everyone else? Then, quietly, an anonymous figure appeared. No press conference, no identity, no country, just a name. Satoshi Nakamoto. And a piece of code. Embedded in Bitcoin's very first block was a message. The Time, 03 Jan 2009. Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. That message wasn't accidental. It was a statement. This wasn't just software. It was a direct rebellion against centralized consensus. Proof of work. Trust through energy. Bitcoin introduced something radical. Proof of work. Instead of trusting a bank, you trust math, cryptography, and energy. Here's how it works. Thousands of computers around the world compete to solve a cryptographic puzzle. The puzzle is hard to solve, but easy to verify. The first computer to solve it earns the right to add the next block of transactions to the ledger. Everyone else checks the result. If it's valid, it becomes part of history. If it's fake, it's rejected. Cheating is possible, but cheating requires controlling enormous amounts of computational power and electricity. So expensive, so inefficient, that honesty becomes the rational choice. Imagine 10,000 people racing uphill. Each one carries a massive weight. The climb is brutal, most will fail, but the first person to reach the top earns the reward, and earns the right to write the next page of history. That race is proof of work. Real-world examples include Bitcoin early, Ethereum, Litecoin. Proof of work taught the world something profound. Truth isn't free. Truth has a cost, and in proof of work, that cost is energy. Proof of stake. Trust through value. As blockchains grew, a problem became impossible to ignore. Energy. So a new idea emerged. Proof of stake. Instead of proving honesty with electricity, you prove it with skin in the game. Validators lock up their own money as collateral. The more you stake, the more responsibility you carry. If you validate honestly, you earn rewards. If you lie, your stake is destroyed. This turns honesty into a financial obligation. You walk into a casino and put your chips on the table. As long as you play by the rules, you can win. But if you cheat, the house doesn't warn you. It takes everything. Real-world proof-of-stake networks include Ethereum after the merge, Cardano, Solana, Polkadot. Proof-of-stake changed everything. Transactions became faster. Energy use dropped dramatically. Blockchains became more scalable. But it introduced new trade-offs. Who has the most stake? Who has the most influence? Does wealth become power again? Consensus always comes with consequences. Alternative consensus mechanisms. Different blockchains wanted different things. Some wanted speed, some wanted efficiency, some wanted control. This led to experimentation. Delegated proof-of-stake users vote for a small group of validators. Proof of authority. Known identities validate blocks. Proof of space and time storage replaces computation. Proof of history. Time itself becomes cryptographically verifiable. Each system sacrifices something. Decentralization for speed. Security for efficiency. Censorship resistance for performance. There is no perfect consensus mechanism, only intentional design. Consensus in the real world. Now imagine this beyond blockchains, sending money without banks, voting without fraud, supply chains without corruption, digital identity without surveillance, AI systems without centralized control. Consensus mechanisms don't just secure ledgers, they redefine power. Who decides truth? Who controls access? Who owns value? Who gets excluded? These are not technical questions. They are political, economic, civilizational. The future of consensus. The future is already forming. Hybrid consensus systems, modular blockchains, zero-knowledge proofs, AI-verified consensus, machine-to-machine trust. Soon, machines won't ask humans for permission. They will verify each other. The next consensus mechanism may not be human at all. It may be autonomous. And once consensus becomes unstoppable, control becomes optional. If this video changed how you see money, power, or trust, do 4 things right now. Like the video, subscribe for more documentaries. Comment what shocked you the most. Share this with someone who still trusts the system, and check the description below. More videos are coming. This wasn't just about blockchain. This was about how truth survives without trust.